Yargle be back. In this deck brewing, we are using Yargle and Multani, the biggest, the baddest vanilla creature out there. Without further ado, let's take a look. Yargle and Multani is a 3 colorless, 2 black and 1 green. It is a legendary creature, Frog Spirit Elemental. It is a vanilla creature, so it doesn't have any abilities, but it reads, "I've heard much about you from my daughter," Multani rumbled. "There was a time when I balked at your aid, Phantom, but she has shown me the merit in almost strange ways." "Goodness crack, rabbit," replied Yargle. It is an 18/6 creature. Let me just let it sink in. An 18 power. Now, when I first saw this, I thought that's a lot of power. And then when I saw people making decks out of it, and I thought, you know what? I've got to do the same because it looks a very interesting creature to make a deck around, and I definitely wasn't disappointed. But before we get into it, there's 3 rules of Nerd Club. The first rule, it needs to be fun. It needs to be budget between $50 and $70, and it also needs to be able to win. The second rule of Nerd Club, we like to save the wonga, the bees, the honey, so we always proxy the deck first by printing the cards out, playing with the deck, and then seeing if we like the deck, see if there's any changes we need to make, and then when we're 100% perfectamundo, we then buy the cards. And rule number 3, we take no mercy, we take no prisoners, and we certainly don't apologize for making a move that wins us the game. So before anything, we start the brew by coming over to Mox Field. We create a new deck. So Yargle and Multani. We put it to private because until the deck is perfect, we don't want anyone else to see it. We'll create the deck. And there we got it. I always start all my decks with 36 mana to begin with. So we'll go for Swamp. And there we have it, the start of the deck. Now where do we find the cards? So I always start in YouTube. To make sure I'm getting good inspiration, I like to watch decks on YouTube or go to other sites, because I'm not the best at knowing all the cards. So if I can see other people using certain cards, I think, oh yeah, that must be a good card. So first of all, there's the Professor. Tolarian Community is a great channel, and he builds his own decks as well, so I like to watch his when he builds a budget pre-con for $45. And then obviously you watch the deck and see how he plays it, so you know which cards are good. Then you always come down to the show more in the comments, and then you want to have a look at the deck list. So you go to the Yargle, that's the upgrade, and this is Yargled. So I'll have a look at the decks. So obviously you've watched the video, you think, okay, well that's his cards. And then you look at the cards here and you think, oh, I wonder if that's any good. That looks good. It's got trample, and whenever that deals combat damage to a player, you may cast your commander from the command zone without paying its mana cost. So that's Geode Golem. That seems like an awesome card. Seems as our commander is pretty expensive at 6 mana, and if people decide to counter it or put it into the graveyard before we can get any damage out, or before we can get like things how we want to deal our damage out, then this is a great way to get it out of the command zone for free. So that's a great card. What we'll do is come back over to our deck that we created. Then we come in here, Geode. See what comes up with it, Geode Golem. And it's only 35 cents as well. Cheap card, which is perfect for the $50 to $70. We'll come back over here. Okay, what else is in this deck? Jared Golgari Lich Lord. Now it gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Okay, and then if you play a black and a green, you sacrifice another creature. Each opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's power. So you sacrifice Yargle and Multani. That's 18 damage to each player. That's got to go in. And then at the end it says sacrifice a swamp or a forest, and a forest, and return Jared from your graveyard to your hand. Even better, you can just keep bringing it back unless it's exiled. So That's an amazing card. We'll put that into here. And then you come over to EDH Rec. Now this is another fabulous site. I mean, put the commander in, you come down, and you come down, and then it shows you all the cards that maybe go well with the deck itself. So you've got this Surak Goraclaw. Now this is a new card from the March of the Machines. It's got trample. Other creatures you have got trample. Well, that's great because 18, unless they can block with 18 worth of toughness, they're going to get some damage through. And it says, whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, put 1/1 counter on it. It gains haste until end of turn. Great. Have this out first, then bring Yargle out. It'll get haste straight away. Great stuff. So we'll put that as a plus. Now on to the high synergy. This is great. It increases the toughness, so you've got Rishkara's expertise. You draw a card equal to its greatest power among creatures you control. Well, that's 18 cards in one go. And it says you may cast a spell with mana value 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Well, that's awesome. You can get cheat in another card and you get to draw 18 cards. So yeah, plus that. This one here, traverse the Outlands. Search library for up to X basic land cards where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Put those cards onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Well, 18 power, 18 basic mana in one go. So we'll add that. After a little while, obviously you'll have quite a few. Then you come over to this bit, you just copy them. Then you come over to bulk edit. You then add them into your deck and save. There we go, look, we're starting to build up, and after a little while you'll end up with quite a few. You could always as well, so I ended up with 145 cards, but once you've got a few, what you could always do is you can always come down to the bottom of the page, and then it will have this section here where you can look at other decks using Yargle and Multani. You click on that. I always like to expand advanced options, and then instead of recently uploaded, I always like to look at most views. And then you search, and then you'll see loads here, so you can do exactly the same. And Moxfield is definitely better copying from Moxfield onto other Moxfield. Now there is a section where you can compare decks, but I like to just do this instead. And as you can see, look, this person here seems to have gone down the route of using equipments like this, where you equip it onto it, it gets +3, and it has trample and lifelink. So obviously +3 onto it, that's 21 damage. If you can get that through in one go, that's 21 commander damage. They're just going to be dead straight away, so that's awesome. So then you could always just click on it, you copy card name, and then you take it back to yours, and then you put it into here, and there you presto, you keep going up. So then once you've got all the cards you think are going to be awesome in the deck, what you could do is, obviously, you whittle it down to what you want to do as a play style. Now for me, for a play style, I didn't want to go down the route of like attacking and using that sort of damage, so I didn't actually put many cards in that if they did damage, then obviously get through, like trample or maybe infect or haste or anything like that. I didn't want to do that route. What I wanted to do is get Yargle and Multani out and then sacrifice it to do damage to other people, or to draw cards to do damage to other people. I didn't want to go down the route of combat damage. And as with all my decks, if you check on the tags, I always tag every single deck, so then we can see what we've got of which. Got about 8 board wipes / target removals. So you've got this one here, Golgari Charm, which is great. All creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn, or destroy target enchantment, or regenerate each creature you control. So if someone's done a board wipe, you can regenerate at the same time, or you can get rid of that enchantment, which obviously is sometimes a bit of a pain. Nice bit of a board wipe here. This Mandate of Abandon. Choose target creature you control. Destroy all creatures with power less than this creature's power. Well, that's going to be every creature on the board. Got ways to make creature tokens. So if we've got Yargle and Multani out, then this is a great way to create another massive creature. This is Miming Slime. Put an XX green ooze creature token onto the battlefield where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So that would be an 18/18 ooze creature because you've got your command on board. Then what you do is, where is it now? If you have both of them out, you have Jared Golgari Lich Lord out, you pay the 3 mana, you sacrifice another creature, each opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's power. Pay 6 mana, you can just kill everyone off in one go because that is 36 damage. Well, obviously if they've taken a bit of damage first, but you can kill them off in one go. So we've got 19 creatures with all different abilities about losing life, drawing cards, but we'll come to that later on when it comes to the win cons. Then we've got about 10 draw. Obviously, Return to the Wild Speaker is amazing. For 6 mana, you can choose one. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control, or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Well, we're going to be drawing cards. That's what we want to do. We want to draw them 18 cards and hopefully draw into one of our win cons. We also have this Disciple of Bolas. Whenever it enters the battlefield, sacrifice another creature, you gain X life and draw X cards where X is the greatest power of creatures. So you not only gain 18 life, you also get to draw 18 cards. Wicked. Equipment. So I did say that I've gone down the route of just sacrificing, but there is a few cards that help me gain life if I attack because I want lifelink. I'm going to just, it's in the win con, I'll explain a little bit later why I've decided to do that. So one of them is Mask of Grizzlebrand. A quick creature has flying and lifelink. We want the lifelink. We've got another one here that's got trample and haste, just in case we needed it. Generally we don't. This is a great enchantment. Kaya's Ghost Form. Basically, if this is on the creature, whenever enchanted creature dies or is put into exile, return that card to the battlefield under your control. It's 1 black mana. If we sacrifice our creature, it's just going to come straight back on the board, and that's what we want. Or if someone targets it, same as this Spider Umbria. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has reach, but it's the end ability that says Totem Armor. If enchanted creature would be destroyed, instead remove all damage from it and just destroy this aura. So basically that stays on the battlefield as well. That's only if someone targets it. If we sacrifice it, then that doesn't happen. Another great one, Dying Wish. Enchanted creature dies, target player loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is its power. So we'll put that on. It's kind of like a protection. People destroy it, then we're just like, right, you destroy my creature, I'm going to do 18 damage to your face. And that's for 2 mana, great card. Bit of Graveyard Recursion, we want to bring this creature back. Like every time, we want to keep bringing this, it is our main focus. So you've got Regrowth, return target creature from your graveyard to your hand. We've already talked about this enchantment. Then you've got Timeless Witness, does exactly the same thing. Enters the battlefield, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. This Tortured Existence is amazing. You just pay 1 black, choose and discard a creature card, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. We don't want that commander tax. It's going to get expensive. If we sacrifice it a few times, it's going to get very expensive. So if we can just play 1, bring it back to our hands, it's there, sorted. I say I got 34 lands. Just in case we did need to attack and we wanted to get the infect in, Rogue's Passage is a great card. You pay 4 mana, target creature can't be blocked. Always have a backup plan. I've built decks before where it's literally 1 focused and then they've stopped that, and then I've been sat there like, there's no way of me carrying on this game. You might as well just forfeit because it's like, well, I can't win. So you just literally sat there for another hour while everyone else is playing and you're just like, well, I'll just draw a card. I'm not winning, not doing anything. So always trying to have at least 2 backups. So you have the main focus, then a backup, and then maybe another backup after that, just to make sure. So life gain, as I said before, we want to be using the life gain to do damage to other people. You got this Rite of Consumption. As additional cost to play Rite of Consumption, sacrifice a creature. Rattle consumption deals damage equal to the sacrifice creature's power to target player. You gain life equal to this way. Well, not only are we doing 18 damage to someone's face directly, as you'll see in the win cons later, if we gain life, they'll also lose life. So we'll be doing a lot of damage. A few mana rocks. Obviously we want a bit of thought vessel and a bit of decanter of endless water. Both of them gives them max hand size. We'll be drawing a shit ton of cards, and we don't really want to be discarding them, so if we can keep them, even better. Now we've got 9 bits of protection. This is the key component to making sure that our commander tax doesn't get absolutely ridiculous. So we've got cards like this. Abnormal Endurance. Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains. Whenever this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. Great stuff. We pay that 2 mana, we sacrifice it, we then can bring it back straight to the battlefield, and we don't have to pay any commander tax. Another one here, Undying Malice. Just for 1 black, does exactly the same thing. It gains whenever this creature dies, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a 1/1 counter on it. Great stuff. Or if other people want to do the same, we can just keep doing that and we can keep bringing it back. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards that pretty much do exactly the same as that. Then there is 14 ramp. So with the ramp, our creature is quite expensive. Our commander is like 6 mana, so we want to keep enough mana keep coming out basically. So we've got obviously the basics, Elvish Mystic, you tap it, you get 1 forest, Wood Elves. When it comes into the battlefield, you search your library for a forest card, then put that into the battlefield, then shuffle. Ruthless Technomancer. It says whenever it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature you control. If you do, create a number of treasure tokens equal to that creature's power. Well, that's 18 tokens in one go. Now, the thing is, there is a combo where you can combo off with this and cause pretty much infinite treasure tokens. But the card was about $16–17, which was a massive chunk of the budget. So maybe an upgrade might be that to get you create unlimited mana. But as I say, it's not for this one because this is the budget deck, so we couldn't add it in. We've already seen this one in the EDH rec. Traverse the Outlands. You search your library for up to 8 basic land cards, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Put those cards into the battlefield tap, then shuffle. That'd be 18! That'd be awesome. Then there's 5 ways to sacrifice. Disciple of Bolis. Where it enters the battlefield, you sacrifice another creature, you gain X life and you draw X cards, where X is the creature's power. While you're gaining 18 life, drawing 18 cards. And with the cards later on, you'll see that people will be losing 18 life. We'll go a bit more into that in a bit. Target opponent loses life. Here you go, look, whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Target player loses X life, you gain X life, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. They're going to be losing a lot of life because we're going to be gaining a crap ton of life. So you've got win con number 1. You have your commander out. You have Jared Golgari Lichlord out. And then what you do is you decide to pay exponential growth. You double the power of your commander. And you pay then the 3 mana, so the 1, the black and the green. It sacrifices another creature. Each opponent loses life equal to the sacrifice's power. So that'll be 36 damage to their face in one go. Win con number 2. You decide to have your commander out, and then you have Marauding Blight Priest. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. So what you could do is you could have this choose your weapon. You could then double the target creature's power and toughness until end of turn. So now it's a 36/12 creature. You then decide, right, okay, this Essence Harvest, your target player loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Well, it's 36. So this target player loses 36 life, but not only that, you've gained 36 life. So this Marauding Blight Priest, it says whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. So that's your other 3 opponents lose another 36 life. So not only did he lose 36 in the first place, he's going to lose another 36, and then the other 2 players are going to lose 36 life. Amazing card. This is why I've got like Mask of Grisbrand. Mask of Grizzleband, I think it's called, Brand. Equipped creature has flying and lifelink. Same as this Loxodon Warhammer. Basically got lifelink. If you can do damage and you've got creatures like this Marauding Blight Priest out, you can then decide to kill them. Even if you don't do any damage, they block. Doesn't even matter if the damage gets through, they'll still get obviously the 18 lifelink and they'll get 18 damage to their faces. Great win con, I like this one. I think I prefer this one over all of them. And then you got win con number 3. As I said, you have your main win con and then you go for a couple more backups. This one here, you get Psychosis Crawler out, you've got your Commander out. You then use the same cards like Disciple of Bolas, where it comes out, you end up drawing 18 cards, and because you drew 18 cards, you can then use Psychosis Crawler's ability. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. Or the same as this Shadow Heart Dusk Justiciar, whatever it's called. I butcher these names so badly. For 2 mana, you sacrifice another creature, draw X cards where X is the creature's power. Great stuff, so you do an 18 damage, but if you wanted to use this exponential growth to make it 36 damage, because you draw 36 cards, then that's going to smash them in the faces. Great. So there is a bit of attacking to do with, you know, the win con number 2, but the main focus of this is not to do that. It's about sacrificing the creature to get all the damage straight to their faces and to try and just keep bringing it back with obviously the protection cards. Then once you have completed your deck and you've got your final 100, you then go to the bulk edit, you copy all the cards, and then you come over to command spellbook. I always like to put it in here after I've done the 100, because you can keep adding cards and keep adding cards, keep adding cards. And what this does is see if there's any combos in your deck. Now there isn't actually any combos in this, so if you like doing combos you can always add a few cards, but the cards that are here, I did think about adding them because I did think, okay, that's good, but this card is actually pretty expensive, this enchantment. Then there is this one, Phyrexian Delvia. This is another expensive card. So they ended up being quite expensive. Now there's this Sir Conrad, which isn't expensive. It says whenever another creature dies or a card is put into your graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves the graveyard, then it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Now you can do a combo with all 3 of these, and it gives them 10 infection counters in one go. I've got this in another black deck. I didn't want to keep doing it in the same one and just using the same repetitive combo, so I didn't actually put it in there. And once again, this hatred, pay X life, target a creature gains X until end of turn. Well, you could do that and then end up killing someone, but I didn't really want to do that because obviously I've got the double counters already, the cards that double the power, so I didn't really see the point. There's always this one. It gains +10/+10, and then use Tainted Strike, and then a target opponent loses life because of the infect. I didn't really want to go down that route again where I was attacking people, so I didn't seem to add that. But if there's other combos that you want to add into it, then by all means do it. All the decks are in the description below. Now if you find value so far, then there is a link below for my Patreon. There is a fair few different levels. Any support would be great so I can keep producing videos for you and more decks and brewings. Then once we have got the combos, everything is sorted. What's rule number 2? Rule number 2 is we want to save the Wonga, so we print the decks out first. So you come to this MTG print, this is the best one I've found. You put all the cards in here, and as you can see, you'll see all the cards here. Then you can pick which ones you want to choose. So I always like to choose ones that are a bit brighter, so this one here, we'll click on this. As you can see, there is loads of different versions of it. You do that for the 400. You think, oh, in fact I don't want them lands, I'll change them lands to, you think, oh, you know what, I like them March of the Machine forests. Click on them. There you've got it. You've got, say, you've done that for all the cards that you wanted to do. You've now got the 100 cards to print out. So you go to the download PDF, you download that, and then you just print them out. Then you'll end up with things like this. So you'll have your cards. So you want to just use a normal card that you wouldn't ever use. You think, oh, that's rubbish. Oh, this is Grow War Chant. Attacking creatures you control get +1/+0 and have menace. I won't use that. Print them off, you cut them out. You then put them in, covering the other card. And then you've got the cards here. So you can shuffle them as normal, no problems whatsoever. And then you play it until you are happy with the deck. Then you go and buy them. Now there is people out there that don't like proxies, and you don't have to play them. Just basically make sure you're telling people, look, I've proxied the deck, I'm just testing it out, making sure it is perfect, and then once it is, I'm just going to buy the cards. It just gives people a bit of decency. And that's it for the Yargle Be Back deck brewing today. The deck list is in the description below. If you want to try out my deck, or if you want to just buy the cards, then the link is down there. Or if you wanted to support the channel on Patreon, the link is also in the description. If you want to watch more deck techs, then watch this video next.